grows constantly.
Needhog, how do we draw a tangent to a refracted horizon, apparent horizon?
Use a paper and a pencil.
Yeah, but in the real
You
world,
use the you measure where the light's coming from to, and then you apply what we know about refraction.
In the real world, we use instruments, but if you're drawing a straight line, well, a line is a concept. So if you're drawing a line, then you're drawing it on something like a piece of paper with a pencil. So have at it.
yeah. So if you draw like a ball or a circle on a piece of paper, you put your observer, you draw your tangent line, and that will be where that point remains. But in the real world, if you draw a tangent to that horizon, the horizon constantly moving.
Are you drawing a tangent to a horizon in the real world, Kim? Go ahead and explain that to me.
Well, how can you?
You just said it. I want you to clarify what you mean by how you're drawing a tangent line in the real world.
Well, that's what I'm trying to say. How would you? How would you be able to mark it if it's constantly moving?
Why am I answering something that you postulated is what we do?
I asked you a question. How would you draw a line to a tangent in the real world?
I told you I would grab a piece of paper and a pencil.
We already spoke about piece of paper. We're talking about the real world. How would you do it in the real world?
Obviously, you can't draw lines in the real world. You draw them on paper.
Yeah, but in the real world, those points are fixed.
Oh, you mean you want to observe something? Yeah, I would use an instrument of some type. Maybe
Like
something with a crosshair that's leveled out.
Yeah.
Maybe take some angle measurements. That's usually pretty good.
And then apply what we know about refraction to get the accuracy up.
Yeah, but how do you know about refraction if you don't have a radius?
We've measured it.
Sounds like maybe someone already figured this out, Chemo.
Sounds like what?
Sounds like maybe someone already figured this out.
What, the radius?
We did actually. Yeah, we got the radius down.
Yeah, but that's what we're saying. If you're 1 foot, you take your theodolite, you get your crosshair at the horizon. But then that horizon line will move and you'll get a different tangent point.
No one used.
Said nobody trying to find. Hold on. Said nobody who's trying to find out accurately how the world works.
No.
Sorry.
Nidhogg said use a theodolite, crosshairs, point it at the horizon, and that's your tangent. But how do you get a tangent to something that's constantly moving?
You apply the known characteristics of refraction and use averaging.
You operate within an error bar.
You're not listening, are you? If every horizon is moving, fluctuating, it's the apparent horizon, not a fixed point like your piece of paper, how are you using a theodolite to draw your tangent? We
observe it on a clear day with as much of the variables accounted for as we can, and we do it repeatedly over and over and over again to get a lot of data points. And then if we need to, we'll find the average of them, and we'll say, you know what, that's a good enough number for us.
Is that what you do on a piece of paper?
You can do it on a piece of paper,
Just
sure.
Get your average.
Yeah, we can do that.
No, I'm going to do it in my head.
Yeah, but on a piece of paper, is that the same way? If I point my theodolite at a piece of paper where we've drawn a circle, will I have to take an average, or will I have to just point it to the tangent point?
Yes. If I have a problem with butane pouring all over my paper, then I'll have problems seeing where the lines are, so I'll have to take an average.
What if you remove the butane?
Oh! So you're suggesting I remove the atmosphere? Cool.
Yeah, but Nidhogg didn't talk about butane.
I don't know how to do that.
I'm talking about Nidhogg's paper. If you draw your circle, you said you draw your tangent point, tangent line, Nidhogg.
Yep, I got to
talking to this retard.
And then you said take your theodolite in the real world, point it crosshairs, and that's your tangent at the horizon, yeah?
I'm sorry, where am I pointing my theodolite again?
Well, that's what I'm asking you. Where are you getting your tangent line? You said with a crosshair, so where are you pointing it?
Oh, sure, yeah, I can point it at the horizon, that's fine.
Okay, so now you're going to have a tangent line to that horizon with your theodolite, yeah?
It's an imaginary tangent line, sure, yeah.
Imaginary tangent line, but is it an imaginary point as well?
What do you mean, is it an imaginary point?
The horizon, is that point imaginary or is it
The horizon
fixed?
is going to point to it.
Is it
Is the
fixed
place where the
location?
tangent touches, Kimo? Is the place where the tangent touches a real place?
On the piece of paper, yeah.
Oh, on the Earth too.
Well, that's what we're trying to find out.
Yeah, sure. There's water or whatever the horizon's being created by. Yeah, it's over there.
Yeah.
You can
but
walk
then-
over to it.
Yeah, but then how come it fluctuates and you'll get a different result? Yeah.
Because we have
Because
a
it's
fraction, so we account for it. There's not a problem.
But accounting for what? You don't do this on a piece of paper.
Yeah, I can calculate it on a piece of paper.
No, I'm saying you don't get your average when you draw a tangent on a piece of paper.
Yeah, so
So if the Earth is really a ball with a real drop, you should be able to draw a tangent to it that never changes.
So
Why do you
definitely don't know how to
why do
measure
you think
anything,
that when
Kimo.
we just got through saying that there's refraction, so yeah, we'd have to take an average.
So you will never be able to find the actual location to draw a tangent. But always got to take
we,
an average.
we will encompass the actual location within our average.
Yeah, but then how do you know that point that you've averaged is the actual location? Moving.
That's fine. I don't think it's relevant.
Not relevant. Draw the tangents. How do you know how much drop there is there?
We will get it. We will get a number within an error bar of acceptable measure, and that's good
That's
enough
not
for
what you
anyone
do on a
else.
piece of paper.
So
So in the real world, if it's a real ball, real curve, real circle, you should be able to draw a point to that and have it never change.
but we have an
You know,
atmosphere.
if I-
We've already gone
I-
over this. We have an
So
atmosphere.
think it's
all right,
therefore-
fine. So you're
Therefore, we'll
firing your
fluctuate.
theodolite
Therefore,
at
we
light.
make error bars and we get a calculation that falls within the error bars. We've gone through this step by step, and you just circle all the way back to the beginning and go, how?
Because are you firing and are you putting your theodolite, your crosshairs at the horizon, which is light, or is that the physical point? So any horizon we see, will that move?
Sorry,
It's
Kimo,
light
that's
as
a
reflected and
that's a
bent
leading
from
question.
the object.
I mean, you say average. Average of what?
You will take a measurement of the horizon. You will write it down.
No,
You
the
can say
average of what, though?
it's so many degrees. It's so many degrees, and then you will capture those data points over the course of a day, for example, and you'll see it fluctuate. And you can graph those out. You can chart those out, and all of these data points can have an average amount of where the horizon would be. And you could say, you know what, within a plus or minus of the highest point of your range to the lowest point of your range, this is where the horizon is, including refraction. And you know, you can even reduce that error bar by taking into account 7/6R, which is the standard refraction amount, and you can get that
Where did you
error
get the
even
R
less
from?
than it is. This is stuff people do every day, and we know how to do it, Kimo. Asking how it happens just means that you haven't actually studied
where
it.
did
Or
they get the R
One
from?
way is reverse zenith angles.
Where did they get the R from?
Happy circumference.
Measurements, Kimo.
Who measured
You
this
can get it
R
out of
value?
circumference.
Stop sea-lining, Kimo. If you don't know the
Stop
answers to
answering
this, then
things
look it up.
and you don't know how to answer or back up.
You can get it out of
We've
sea.
answered it millions of times to you. This is not
Just 'cause you
new
get stuck in
information
a
for you. You
corner,
are
okay.
sea-lining.
You're getting shown that you don't know what you're talking about. You fall apart,
Now
start
you're
spiraling.
gaslighting. This is such a tired script, Kimo. Why
Right.
don't you come up with something?
Why don't you come up with something better than a presupposed R value?
Nope.
Because it worked perfectly. So
Well, who
until
made this
something
measurement?
better is necessitated, we're going to use it.
Who's made this measurement?
People around the world.
Yeah,
People not you,
presupposing the
apparently.
ball.
Any cartographer.
Which method did you use? Eratosthenes.
Yeah, you can use Eratosthenes.
Yeah,
In fact, you can
Eratosthenes
do very accurate
presupposes a ball.
Eratosthenes right now.
Yeah,
Go gather up a
Eratosthenes
bunch of your friends and do Eratosthenes live and see what happens.
Yeah, I'd have to presuppose I'm on a ball.
Nope.
You don't have to presuppose anything. You can
Yes.
have a blank slate, which let me tell you, you're really good at doing. And you can presuppose absolutely nothing, and you can take these measurements and come to your own conclusions. Or you can sit there and spout nonsense like you normally do daily.
Well, Eratosthenes presupposed a ball. That's how we came up with these. So instead of
Nope,
presupposing the
actually, he
ball,
didn't presuppose the ball. He made an observation and went, "Huh, that's interesting. Let's see what happens." And he then concluded, based off of that observation, that the Earth must have a curved surface.
Nidhug, let me ask this. If you knew that you were on a roughly spherical object, or any curve, and I went around and found out it was a circumference, can't I derive the radius within a certain fraction?
No, not
Certain
Yeah,
error
you
bar?
using
can
geometry.
actually. Using hang on, what do Flirts call it? Maths. You can use maths to derive that.
We have to relax. We have to understand the Earth is very, very small in the globe paradigm.
Oh God.
How small is it?
It's as small as a
Very, very
Jägermeister bottle.
small. Very, very small. It's a 3,089, 85 something. It's very, very
39.59.
small. Yeah, we can say 4,000. Okay.
That sounds good.
Right, Nidhogg, I like how you derailed that.
So
Moy,
it's
from
very, very
Nidhogg.
small.
You're
It's
saving,
very, very small.
You're saving your friends here. So, what we're looking for, Nidhogg, be able to draw a tangent to the horizon.
I'm gonna go stick my finger on a belt sander. It's more fun. Bye.
So, if we've got 6-foot observer, okay, and then they can see 3 miles away, there should be 6 feet of drop. You shouldn't be able to see beyond 3 miles. There should be
Kimo,
drop.
Yeah.
Kimo, you
Yeah,
know very
yeah.
well because you're doing those things on purpose day by day, and day by day you're repeating those things. You know because you're doing on purpose.
But
Why are you
if-
pretending?
Why are you talking
one
like
second, shut
ty-
up, man.
Are
Shut
you
up, man.
authority? You cannot talk it over.
Why
Shut
why are you pretending? Because nobody have explained it to you everything day by day, and the things are very clear about the measurements of the Earth and everything else.
Why are you talking like you are authority or something?
Because
Yeah,
I'm
okay,
from
okay.
Romania, idiot.
So, Nidhogg, when we take our theodolite and find the horizon, which you say is where the sky meets the ground, the apparent horizon.
And now you're ignoring me.
Maybe I have to shut up.
We'll get to you.
No, you don't get to me. So, what point you didn't understand from the previous days?
What you don't understand is that we have a measurement. If you don't understand measurement, you are out of the play. Do you know what measurement is?
Yes, mate. The last measurement of the Earth it have been done it in 2007, and the Google Earth and all the measurements that have been put it in Google Earth. Next.
I fucking love it because Google Earth is a flat Earth map.
Yeah,
You
your
can-
mind.
You can use Google Earth map as a flat Earth map, and you can do the measurement. And I will promise you, there is.
Okay, do you know something
if
about
you-
the last measurements of
if
the
you
Earth? If you are
use-
so smart.
If you use the instrument that you can use with Google Map, then you will be able to understand.
I hate to tell you, but when I chart
straight
the
lines.
lights on Google Maps,
The Earth is straight line fucking plane.
I hate to tell you, but when you plot flight paths on Google Earth, it gives you a curved flight path, which is a great.
No, yes, before you, but if you go into the land and in the local maps, then you see it isn't. It's just a fake.
I'm telling you for a fact that Google Earth uses great circles to do flight paths. You can map. them
No,
on
it's
Google
just
Earth. That is
just
a
a
curved
show in the globe in the
You just
But
saying it
if
is.
you
dude.
zoom into it,
Johnny.
I'm telling you the truth. If you zoom into it, it is.
Johnny,
flat.
when you calculate the distance between 2 points in Google Earth, it gives you a number. You can easily check right now if this number is gotten from Pythagorean formula
Do you know?
or from
You can use-
Haversine
you
formula
can use
on
two-
the surface of a sphere.
No.
You can
use two
easily
pa-
check this, dude.
Fuck you.
If you
can
check
use
this,
two
You
parallel
won't say
lines
stupid
and
shit
you can,
that Google Earth
you
is
can
flat.
test it all over the place. It's a fucking you don't know. Do it. Everybody.
I fucking checked. I actually checked the number of Google Earth when I had to calculate the distance between two coordinates. Google Earth uses a simple Haversine formula. There is nothing complicated there.
it's nothing about formula. It's about the.
It's a formula for the distance of a surface of a sphere, not a formula for the distance on a plane.
But it is Fluctuate map.
Yeah, you
It
just saying
is.
You
It
can't-
is. That's all you're fucking saying that it is. You can't back your shit up.
It can't work anyways. It cannot work. Nobody is using globe as a navigation model.
No, nobody
Everybody
would
is
use
using
that.
flat
Everyone
Earth,
would use. Yeah.
local maps to navigate.
all maps
Navigate.
are projections, John. I hate to tell you, projections are spherical.
I am a fucking captain. I know I'm talking.
on a 2D plane, buddy. I hate to tell you.
It's not Captain Johnny.
We are using local maps.
All
Every-
maps are projections, John. Get it through your head.
Oh, so
Maps
I
are
am a fucking sea captain. I know I'm saying.
Yeah.
You
When you look
change
at
the maps.
projection
You
maps,
take
you
all
look
the
at
local.
I'm the
So-
captain now.
You're a sea
Yeah.
captain. You look at projection maps all day.
Fine.
Go look up what a projection map is, John, and educate yourself.
I'm just saying. I've been there. I know what I'm talking about. We are using local maps.
You have no
Therefore-
clue what you're talking about, Johnny.
Oh, are you there? So I fucking love you. Okay, I love you just a little bit. But you, no. You are just a speaker. I'm talking about the reality.
Say again.
Yes. I'm talking about the reality in the life.
Reality, we live on a sphere, buddy.
Yeah, they are using local maps and we change maps and take all the maps if they are on the big
John, when you look
ships
at a
or
map,
something
Can
like
you
that.
tell me the different types of maps there are, John?
What?
Can you
I
tell me the
didn't
different
hear.
types of maps that there are?
It's always local maps over all areas. Is a local map, and we have it, and we take them and put them on the table, and we
When
So-
you put them on the table, do the grids correspond one-to-one with reality, or is there distortion?
it's not decision because our local maps is
Are the
Almost.
maps one-to-one? as
this
far as
very accurate.
That's fine. Are they a one-to-one ratio with reality, or are they distorted?
Yeah, we have to take in 23 because of magnetism of the Earth. We have to take.
It's a very simple question. Are the maps distorted, or are they one-to-one?
I'm just saying we have map of the world, and there's no problem with it.
You're answering a bunch of questions that I haven't asked. Is it a distorted map or a one-to-one map?
My answer is perfect. In the local maps,
I asked if
it
was
isn't.
perfect. I asked if it was a
But
one-to-one
in
map,
the big-
like it had distortion.
In the big pictures, no, it's wrong in the big pictures.
I
Look,
didn't hear that. I didn't hear your answer, but the answer
say-
you're trying to obfuscate around is the fact that all
in the
maps
big pictures, I say in the big pictures, it's wrong. But
And
in
all-
local
all of
maps,
them,
yes,
they're
it's
wrong,
right.
buddy. The further out from the center, depending on the type of map it is, you get distortion, and they tell you that.
It's not about the distortion. It's about measurement. So it's not about that. So you're wrong out. You're not talking right language.
Okay. Yeah, John, you're 100% right. Maps aren't distorted. My bad.
John, if you use nautical maps, you see that the lines are not straight. Like you see that.
What do you know about that? Are you driving your Honda somewhere? No, you're wrong.
No, it's because of what we've been talking about. It's a projection onto a flat surface. So the
No,
lines are not-
I'm saying
yeah.
we have a very great local maps all over the place. So But it
And
doesn't
when
matter.
you look at those local maps, what I'm saying is the lines are not parallel. They diverge as you go towards the edges of the map. It's weird like that.
Yeah, because everybody thinks it's a globe, but it isn't. Do you understand how sixteenth work?
How the what works?
The
Sixteenth.
question is, do you understand how internet conspiracies work?
He's trying to say the word
Okay,
sextant.
so if you don't understand the ground level of
sextant. Got it,
navigation, then you cannot talk about it.
And also, if there's no tangent line over, there's no globe, because your measurements are all over the place. How
Timo,
can you expect
you're
us
making
to
a
accept an
point that's
average?
only tangentially related.
How should we
So-
expect?
Target line, you cannot have two horizons. So if the horizon must be there, but it isn't there, and you have far away a parent horizon,
And the only reason why
then-
we know this is
then
because of,
something is wrong with the globe model.
the only reason why we know
Isn't
this
it?
is because of the black swan. No,
Yeah,
several
black
years
swan.
ago that the horizon was moving all over the place. Now, obviously, because of the black swan, shown us that the horizon is not a fixed location. So how do the globe
Yeah.
earthers reconcile
So
that?
if they say the globe is bigger, they have to. Then it's very big because it gets bigger. If just something wrong, something. Oh, it has to be 10 miles big. Oh, everything gets bigger and bigger than the fucking fantasy of the sun.
No
The
tangent,
sun,
no globe.
the sun is not big. The sun is small. It's just a power.
Johnny, do they have a tangent point? Draw a tangent line with a theodolite.
No, we cannot do that to the sun. It's impossible.
So, therefore, they must concede that the Earth is not a globe because of that horizon.
Yes, it's over. Yes, it's over.
Now, yeah,
Yeah,
now,
it can't
because
be.
there's no horizon. How can we draw a tangent line that moving non-physical horizon?
If you don't have a measure, then you cannot measure it. So it's just that.
Johnny, can I ask you a question about your C charts? Do you have
Are you
the
talking
old?
to me?
Yes. Do you use the old style paper version, or do you use the newer computerized version that get updates every 6 months and shows?
I'm an old guy. I'm in the old version of everything. But I'm trying to follow.
Have you seen those new charting programs that show the title shoals as they move around over the months?
Tell me about it. Tell me about it.
They're nautical and shipping maps that will actually show where the shoals are, so you don't accidentally run aground. What they don't ever have is ships out there mapping it, because all of that is mapped via satellite.
Yeah, but
The satellite that's circling the globe Earth.
talking
So
about satellites,
the reason your maps are so accurate is thanks to satellites.
there is no satellites in that meaning that you
Cool.
the people think.
You can say that.
So,
But
I can I can tell you what this is.
then you got to throw
No.
your maps overboard, because your maps were made from satellites.
It's nothing about maps. It's just about reality. From 1953, they started with balloons, and many countries was involved in the Ballon program. Everybody knows about that, working with that. So, but people are stupid. They don't want to know what's about it. But
What year?
they have a.
What year is it, Johnny?
This started 1953.
Right, that started in 1953. What year is it now?
It's 2021, I think.
Has technology got better since 1953?
It's like I said, gone backwards.
Technology's gone backwards since the 50s.
I'd say.
It's very strange.
Since Tesla, we've gone back.
Everything is going backwards.
Right.
For many years.
I remember them.
Was it everyone or just you, though?
But I would like to know how the Globers are going to get out of this one now. How can we have a tangent line to a horizon that's constantly fluctuating?
It's fluctuating over time, Chemo.
Uh-huh.
Therefore, the tangent fluctuates over time. What the fuck is difficult?
So if I go out there today, draw a tangent
what the
line.
fuck is difficult of placing a tangent on something at a given point in time?
Oh, how can we draw a tangent line then to the horizon?
You're asking how do you draw a tangent line?
Yes, use a theodolite, but how do we line up the theodolite?
Why should I explain how to draw a tangent line to you?
No, we know that in the real world, you line up a theodolite with the horizon.
Theodolite, if you read the instrument of the theodolite and so on, if you go through the manual, you will understand it's not made for long distance measurement. It's just for.
Yeah, but either way, if the horizon is not in a fixed position, like when you draw a circle on a piece of paper, how are we going to draw one in the real world?
But I'm saying you cannot use it. It's just to make buildings and bridge and so on.
Well,
it's not for measures the size of the Earth.
Johnny,
it can't work.
They might concede now and give up the globe.
But I have to say it. Everybody have to know it.
They will.
So
they might say it now if we give it a chance. The Globers, you agree that you cannot draw a tangent line to a non-physical horizon that keeps.
They cannot never take any target line if they are living on a globe. So it's over.
That's going to be my number one evidence now. If someone asks me what's the best evidence that we can't draw a tangent line to the horizon, meaning the line could go on forever.
What do you mean it's going to be your number one evidence now? You've always made up shit, Chemo. This is not new.
It's a big failure for Globe.
If we send out a theodolite to the horizon and just leave it on the horizon, then we know that that line is not touching physical Earth or the physical or the horizon there.
It's not target line to any east.
Yeah, it's not touching the Earth at any point. So no, that line is going on forever and ever and ever and ever
and ever and ever
and ever. When does it?
It's over.
When does it hit the physical Earth to create a tangent point? That's the question.
So that was a bit, right, Chemo?
That Nidhogg.
That was great. I fucking love it. Ever and ever. Play it again, Sam.
You should make a rap video about this, Chemo.
Never and ever. No, well, let's not sing. But Nidhogg, the theodolite will never ever touch the physical horizon point. It will never hit that point ever, right?
Yeah, I don't know what you're trying to say. What do you mean?
So you said because we both agree that the horizon fluctuates, you've got to.
Nobody can use theodolite. It's just for close.
You said we both agree that the horizon fluctuates, so we have to take an average. That means,
why does it fluctuate?
That means now we know that the crosshairs will never ever touch physical Earth.
Why does it fluctuate, Chemo?
Why does the horizon fluctuate?
Yeah.
Well, again, that's irrelevant. We're looking for the real Earth to touch.
Yeah, but it's relevant to the question I just asked you, which is why does it fluctuate?
Could be refraction, light bending.
Why do you say could be?
Because my point is, will that crosshair ever touch a real physical Earth horizon point?
Why is it could be? Why could it be refraction? Why isn't it refraction?
All right,
everyone else
let's say it's refraction. Let's take refraction. So are we saying now then?
Well, if we're going to skip refraction, then we're not talking about reality. So
I said,
we can
let's
talk
go
about
with refraction. Are you deaf? Let's go with refraction.
All right, we're going with refraction. Perfect.
So
That's
my
why.
question is, will that crosshair ever in its life touch the point of the physical horizon? And when will it do that?
What do you mean touch the point of the physical horizon?
So can I make a tangent line and touch the horizon and make a point where the tangent line should meet Earth?
You can line up your crosshairs with the horizon. Yes, you can.
Yeah, but you said that one moves, that fluctuates.
Yeah. So you asked if it will ever line up, and I say yes.
Not with the refracted one, with the physical Earth, physical one.
I said yes.
When has that ever happened?
At some point in time when you're taking your measurements.
At some point in time. Which point in time does that ever happen?
Oh my god. If you chemo, how far away is 5 feet from you?
5 feet.
Yeah. How far away is that? But then you get there again. Now how far away is 5 feet from you? That's what you're asking. Yeah.
No, I'm saying if I fire my theodolite at 5 feet, no matter the weather, the refraction of the light, that theodolite will tell us that 5 feet tangent.
Yeah, and then once you get there, 5 feet away is still 5 feet away.
You don't got to get there. You just stay in the same place, monkey. You don't got to move anywhere.
Okay, well then what is your question? Yeah, you measure it and you have an error bar.
You didn't know this. Oh, this is breaking news. Yeah, this is what we're saying, Monkey said. Is that
No, you still don't get me.
You're like, just move forward, move backwards. We're like, no, you don't need to move anywhere. You stay in one place and the horizon moves.
We know this, it's refraction. We get it. And
Monkey Sage, you can understand, yeah? The horizon, not the person.
Yeah.
I mean, so we're trying to find out from Nidhogg if we, like you said, the horizon is 5 feet in front of us, like you said, and then we send our theodolite crosshair at that horizon point, 5 feet in front.
He said refraction. He said that like an hour ago, dude. We've been saying that.
Yeah, but when you come back to measure that 5 feet, that 5 feet is now 10 feet. 1 foot.
It's twice. There's no error bar for refraction where it goes up that high. There's a percentage that is accounted for with 7/6R for what you expect to see on a highly refracted day versus a low refraction day. At no point in time is the horizon double where it should be. That's silly, Chemo.
So if you take your theodolite out at 1 foot, you see the horizon supposed to be 1.22 miles away. Then the horizon moves back again 2 miles, then 3, then 9, then 10 miles away. You've got a straight line of sight for 10 miles where you're supposed to be obstructed at 1 mile.
You're just making up numbers, Schema.
No, the Black Swan was a 1 foot observer, and the horizon geometrically is 1.22 miles away.
It was never 1 foot, Chemo. Never.
Never what?
The Black Swan was not a 1 foot observation.
Yeah. It's at least 3 feet.
No, he was a 1 foot observer. You put the camera on the ground.
No, Chemo, we see the guy in the water, and we see how much the horizon is above it.
Let's use some flat Earth logic, flat Earth arguments here. Prove it, Chemo. Prove that it was a 1 foot observation.
Yeah, it was 1 foot from the ground, maybe.
It was
not
in the
the
video.
water.
Did you watch the video?
I did watch the video, yes.
Watch the video. So you saw that he put the camera on the beach.
And you saw the guy in the water, and the horizon is above his shoulders, Chemo. And the shoulders are not 1 foot above the water, right?
When you put the camera on the ground, how high is that?
As high as it is, Chemo.
How high was it?
1 foot above the ground does not mean 1 foot above the water. 1 foot above the ground where I am is about 50 meters above the water.
How high was that camera?
That's a great question.
Literally.
Maybe you should know the answer before you start making assumptions.
I've told you the answer. It was 1 foot.
No, it wasn't.
How do you know that?
It was less than 1 foot, but we'll give you 1 foot.
How do you know that?
Because we saw him put the camera on the floor by the beach.
Oh, you were there and you saw him do it, huh?
I wasn't there, no.
Ah, okay. So we can dismiss that then.
What? So you have to see it to believe it?
That's your argument constantly, yes.
So have you seen the globe spinning?
Yep, some people have.
Have you seen the globe spinning?
I don't have the stance that you take.
Ah,
I don't have the
so you haven't seen it spinning, so it must be rubbish then, nonsense.
Someone has, so therefore it's fine.
Oh, well, someone's measured where there's no curvature, so that's fine.
Oh, really?
If you show me that,
I'll show you a picture of Himawari and the Earth spinning, and you show me the evidence that someone didn't see the Earth curve. How's that?
No, I'll show you from the ISS where it's flat. When you look out and they show that it's flat.
So if I ask the people on the ISS during one of their live streams if the Earth is flat, they're gonna agree with you?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Yeah, sure, why not?
Mm.
Well, it sounds like we should do that then. Let's the next time NASA has a live stream from the ISS, let's go hop into chat and let's ask them if the Earth is flat.
Yeah, go for it.
They should agree with your position, most definitely.
Absolutely.
All right, Chemo, this is your task now. We now
I have to interrupt.
We're waiting for biofuels.
It was an amazing point
and we're waiting for you to go into the ISS live chat and confirm that the astronauts.
He said, "Have you seen the Earth spinning?" He said that. He take you in. You are faster. It was finished there. It was an amazing point from our friend. So he said, "Have you seen the Earth spinning?"
All right, Chemo.
That was the killer. It was a fucking killer. Just think about it.
So here's I've time-stamped it for you. This is from the ISS. Absolutely flat, no curvature whatsoever.
That's not what you just agreed we'd do. We're gonna go onto their live stream and we're gonna ask them if the Earth is flat. And you
don't
say
need to ask them. We can see it.
Have you seen the Earth spinning?
No time.
If you think pictures are fine, then I can show you about 100,000 pictures of the Earth being a sphere.
Yeah, they need to be higher than 250,000
the actual people
miles.
up there, which is your requirements, whether the Earth is flat. We're not going to rely on pictures because
not
apparently
a picture, it's a video.
No.
It's a video, not a
what's
picture.
Your evidence? Are you talking about CGI?
It's a video. I timestamped the video for you.
I don't need to timestamp a video for me, Chemo. I can refute any picture you show with another picture of the Earth being a sphere, day in and day out.
We've
so
got 250 miles high.
For us.
We are talking about real life. Have you something in reality that's not from NASA that can show us?
We can get pictures from the Russians and the Chinese. They have satellites up there.
NASA has nobody can be living NASA.
How can we have satellites up there when we can't draw tangents
to
the horizon?
We have to talk about something else. Do you have something else?
You're putting one thing before another, Nidhogg.
I'm doing.
Do you have something else?
If you want something else, shouldn't you refute the first one? Rather than making up fairy tales that past is refuting?
Hey, Johnny, Johnny, what
Yes,
about the
yeah.
satellite images we had of the Australian bushfires?
There is no fucking
showing this,
satellites.
showing the smoke going across the Tasman
What
Sea
is
to
satellites?
New Zealand.
You're wrong.
An
It's high
aeroplane
altitude.
was. Just an aeroplane.
It's high altitude.
How high?
What was the elevation?
How
of
high,
everything?
Johnny? Johnny, how high, Johnny? How many
Just-
satellites?
There is no satellites.
All right, what are they?
Lights in the sky.
High altitude. HAPS.
It's a
High
high
altitude
altitude
platform
technology. Show us one. Come on.
Look
Johnny.
it up. You
From
fucking
less than
shit.
10
Look
years
it
ago.
up.
One can
No,
just
you
look up
tell me.
satellites.
Not going to look
You
it up.
tell me what they are.
I'm telling you, it's high altitude platform stations
How high?
from 25 to 50 kilometers.
And they can see, right? How many? How many of them?
It's a network.
Yeah. And what's that involve? How many?
A lot.
Yeah. And how does it work, mate? You're not telling me anything.
Yeah. Oh, so I have to tell you everything how the technology.
Yes, you do. You do. You have to tell me everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So tell me.
It started with LORAN. It started with the LORAN. The technology started with the LORAN.
Just tell me how many of these high altitude
Do
devices
you know what
are
I'm talking about?
in this
LORAN.
network you
LORAN,
mentioned.
LORAN.
So you have a
No,
bunch of balloons that are sending
No,
signals to
no, no,
everywhere
no. They're
else.
called
Oh, no.
LORAN and DECA. LORAN and DECA systems were used low-frequency radio signals that were fixed transmitters. Their antenna would typically be at the bottom of the plane, and this is how they get their data.
Not trying to
via
make
radio
it sound
signals.
like you're not reading.
That is the start of it. Yes.
So these are aeroplanes that are doing what in the sky? They're flying around taking still images.
Well, look,
Yeah,
there's
I
supposed
just
to be at
looked at
least
the,
8,000 satellites.
How old are you?
So I just looked it up. HAPS is currently established by
really
HAPS.
want to know
I'm probably
how-
close to your age, Johnny.
They're a telecommunications company. They have high altitude platform stations. They say they work in the stratosphere, which is closer to the Earth than LEO and GEO satellites. So they invoke satellites, buddy. You're not doing too hot here.
Well, look, much of imagery on Earth is used by Google Earth, and it's provided by Digital Globe, and imagery used by Terra Server. Heard of that? Terra Server? And both of these sources claimed not to use satellite imagery, but also aerial imagery. See? And high
not
altitude.
to use it, or but also, which hold on, they're two contradictory statements.
Well, you don't need satellites
One
to
says
get satellite
one
images.
says they did not use it, and the other said they did use it and they used something else as well. So which
Do you
one of
know
those
how
two
all
things
where
is
the
correct?
data is?
No.
Jim.
Digital
Yes.
Globe.
Do you
and,
know all
use satellite
where the
imagery
data?
for the
It's a
wide
network.
field views, and
How
they
do you
use
think that all
aeroplane
where the
imagery
data
for
is?
the detailed
Terra
views.
Server
Do you
and
really think
Digital
it's about
Globe
the satellites?
they both claim not only satellite imagery. So to get these images of the Earth is just with a high altitude airplane, and they're just like recon plane technology flying at 80,000
So just like that, huh? And these are flying between 80,000 and 160,000 feet, because that's what Johnny was saying.
Well, always
30
keep in
to
mind
50
that,
kilometers.
Always keep in mind that major governments have black ops operations or technology that's been around 50 to 100 years more advanced than civilian population.
And how does it work, mate? So you just know they've got this technology, but you don't know anything about it.
Well, I do know that even
I know
after
about
World
it.
War II, telephone calls were routed via microwave signals instead of satellites to go long distances between cities. So technology
Absolutely.
today is even further developed.
It's
advanced
about
signals of
radar
firmament.
data, all of the network data. That is
So microwave, right?
in
And
real time.
radio waves
Real
were
time.
not known back then to other people, just the military, right?
No, it's very people. It's working all around all over the world is working together and given in real time the data, and the big data is called big K data. And big K data is the biggest computer is in Japan. So,
not this fucking script again.
If you don't understand what I'm saying the biggest computer in the world.
Yeah, some deep dark organizations have some really big computers. Yeah,
it's K data. So there is,
as we know, GPS is used
in Japan.
Triangulation of signals and measuring time differences. This is the exact same method that GPS supposedly uses. The only difference is that it's accomplished through ground stations, not satellites. Even the police will tell you that an emergency locating is done via cell tower triangulation. It's called cellular GPS and is supposedly a different system. So there's no need for satellites for communication of any kind.
It's not practical. It's not practical for a satellite. There's no need for satellites.
Kim, are you saying that GPS satellites aren't real?
Satellites are not real. Yes, that's correct.
I asked specifically about GPS satellites.
Yes, GPS satellites are not real. I mean,
it's the same thing.
It's accomplished through triangulation of signals. See?
Which signals? Yes. Where? From where?
From land towers.
Oh,
from
I'm speaking
just have done through ground stations.
Ground station and sometimes in the air also. It's a network.
You were over-speaking, Kimo. I couldn't hear him.
Well, I just pretty much said yes. It's done through triangulation. Like I said, they look for the signals this way and measuring the time difference. This is the same way that they tell us GPS is done. So it's just a trick. They look, satellites are doing what these triangulation signals do.
Yeah, okay. So you're saying these are from ground stations. Can you please explain?
No, it's not only from.
Johnny, I'm speaking to Kimo right now.
But I know about it, so better to talk to
However,
me.
Don't interrupt Johnny, please. You've dominated the chat for a long time.
Okay.
So, Kimo, how are those ground stations flying around? Because they have to be. Because GPS radio signals, carrier signals of GPS actually experience Doppler shift.
Wow, I'm trying to explain that ground radio stations, Doppler, etc., also high altitude recon routinely give data. So they use planes and weather balloons, weather satellites, satelloons as they were.
Yeah.
Solar panels also.
So how exactly do you think the weather balloon or whatever you say is transmitting GPS signals? How exactly are you gonna fix this thing in the atmosphere so it doesn't move back and forth anywhere, like even not 1 meter?
Well, you know that radio signals can go for thousands of miles and regularly are bounced off the atmosphere layers, sky waves, for long-range communication. So this process is easy to understand on a flat Earth. Very simple. You just bounce things straight up, get a signal, you get a return.
More. That GPS signals experience Doppler shift. From that Doppler shift, you can actually calculate the orbital velocity of GPS satellites, which is about 14,000 kilometers per hour. Each GPS satellite orbits the Earth twice in almost 24 hours, and you can actually track individual satellites by their identification number. So how are those things running at such velocities?
No. So at these ground stations, the reason why your satellite dish has to be pointed at an exact spot, geostationary orbit, is so...
I'm talking about GPS, Kimo.
Yes, it's the same thing. It's just a signal.
No, I know it's not the same thing. I asked specifically about GPS.
It works in the same way.
I asked specifically about GPS, Kimo.
Okay, so how GPS works is it works through triangulation.
I don't need you to explain how exactly is the triangulation happening. I'm asking you to explain how the radio signals experience a Doppler shift, which is caused by satellite actually orbiting the Earth at 14,000 kilometers per hour. When the satellite is approaching you, the frequency increases, and when it is leaving your location, it starts decreasing below the carrier frequency. How do you explain that?
Because they're done with high altitude recon planes. Not satellites.
14,000 kilometers per hour.
Yes,
are you kidding
not
me?
satellites. They are done with recon planes.
GPS works. You need at least couple of, I don't know, 5 satellites or something. You need at least at once to be able to triangulate yourself.
Well, they do
like
say
I said,
there are
each
roughly,
satellite.
They do say there are roughly at least 8,000 supposedly up there.
No, they are not. Not that many GPS.
Well, there's meant to be 8,000 satellites in space.
I'm talking specifically about GPS. You're trying to deflect from that.
Well, I'm explaining to you that how this Doppler is high altitude plane that give data routinely.
What does that even mean? What's a Doppler shift, Kimo?
Can I take over?
Oh, for goodness sake. Yes, go ahead.
Okay. So, do you know what we are talking about? We are talking about straight line of sight. We are talking about technology that is radio waves and microwaves. We are talking about radars. So, if you don't understand what we are talking about, don't talk about it with me. I will take it down if you don't understand what I'm saying. So,
Johnny,
what
radar,
satellite,
etc. Not line
just
of sight.
listen to
You know that.
Listen to me. Everybody knows today we have a high altitude platform stations. If you say no, then you're just ignorant, stupid, or something else, or just deny. Do we have a high altitude? I'm asking you, everybody, do we have a high altitude platform stations?
Absolutely not, John. Absolutely not.
Look, let me explain to Hardy quickly how Doppler works. Okay, so Doppler radar works by sending a beam of electromagnetic radiation waves from the
I'm not talking
transmitter
about Doppler radar, Kimo. I'm talking about what causes a
Okay. Okay, shut up. I will talk now. The administration of the George W. Bush and Barack Obama pushed for it. Natural A-Lorentz system. It's a long time ago. It's not new. It's old.
Yeah, it's not being used anymore. What are you talking about?
So you think nothing happened after that? I'm saying it was not the Congress said no, but the Homeland Security have paid for it.
Which Homeland Security?
For the budget of the Homeland Security.
Which Homeland Security?
Funding 2008, 18.
Which Homeland Security are you talking about? Which Homeland Security?
Listen to me. E-Lorentz GPS system.
Lorentz is not GPS. These are two different systems.
So Ali, look,
Yes.
you just want evidence of...
No, hello. Okay. Yes, C-Lorentz is, yes, but not E-Lorentz. You have to understand what you're talking about. So, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, why are you talking? I'm saying, do you know what E-Lorentz is?
The better
Are you
question
talking about
is, Johnny,
C-Lorentz or E-Lorentz?
if you make shit up, why are you talking?
Different things.
Who is making shit up?
Johnny.
Oh,
No, it's not. No, it's not me. Everything is okay.
You made the shit up about some fucking space platforms, even though everyone calls satellites, but you decided to call them space platforms, as if that somehow makes your stupid argument sound less stupid.
Blah, 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 blah. What the fuck? Nobody understands what you're saying. I'm saying in 1918,
again with them
George
making shit up, right?
W. Bush, and then Barack Obama, they were pushing for the ALORAN. What is the DBS system?
Mutation, Johnny.
Loran is not GPS. You're insinuating that these are ground based stations. They are not. GPS is coming from high altitude in orbit.
No, there's nothing that orbits.
Okay. You're wrong. You are fucking wrong. They said, "Oh, they have to say it. They have to say it."
Well,
Listen.
you're just saying that they are wrong.
Right,
Doesn't make them wrong.
What's the evidence for curvature?
It's a backup.
If
It's a backup for the GPS system. It's a backup. They say they have to.
It's not a backup because I have a fucking GPS.
Of course, it's not a backup. It's a fucking real system.
Come on. I have actually a GPS module that I use in my electronics projects that I can use and I can debug and I can see and I know how it works and which frequencies it's using.
Oh, you think I also fucking smart?
No, I don't think so. But you obviously do.
You think you're smarter than him? He has a fucking GPS module that he uses in his shit. What about you?
But I am telling him it isn't the system. I'm telling him that he think he's smarter.
And I'm telling you and explaining to you that each GPS satellite is identifiable by an ID and it's only visible in the sky twice per day.
Can you show this satellite being launched?
Never.
What's that got to do with anything?
To prove that it's really in where or going where you say it's gone.
Why do I have to show you when it's been launched, when it's in the sky and it's actually orbiting the Earth?
Yeah, but how do they launch them? The last time I saw one launch, they used a green
I don't
screen.
care
So
when
where's
they
your
were
real version of a satellite
GPS
being
was started
launched?
in the 80s. Come on. Why should I go and look up those launch videos or
be
whatever?
hard, just
I'm pretty
type
sure
in-
there's none because it was military at first.
Question.
It should be the
Yeah, but
first
it-
result or the first 10 results. Satellites in space orbiting should be the first 10 results. Why is it so difficult?
Exactly what do you want to see?
If I type
GPS satellites
cat-
being
Okay,
launched?
you cannot answer the question.
If I type
No, I
cats
can.
into Google, I'm not
I
going to
can.
get dogs.
You
or
are nothing.
cars.
You don't know
I'm
what
going to
you're
get real
talking about.
cats. If I type
Yeah,
satellites
I think
in
I
space,
actually do know.
I think he knows
you're
more
fucking
than
shit.
you guys.
You're fucking shit.
That's what
Ali.
it sounds
You're
like.
out. You're out.
Ali, why am I wrong on this? If I type in cars, I get cars. But when I type in satellites, I get cartoons. Why, Harley?
No, actually, I just posted a couple of minutes ago a video in the chat
He's
showing the
talking
last
like a
constellation of Starship satellites.
Like a fucking shit. You,
Sorry, it's
nothing
Starlink.
I
Johnny,
understand.
stop interrupting people. Let them talk.
Okay.
There's a video of Starlink satellites going across the sky from the last launch in beginning of this month.
That's Starlink, StarX, I think.
Starlink, yeah.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
these satellites, I'm just looking at C4s now. These satellites falling towards the Earth. Yeah, we know things fall towards the Earth. Not a problem.
They're not falling towards the Earth.
It's not going around the
What
board. It's
is
not going
Starlink?
over the horizon, is it?
You wanted evidence of satellites. I gave
Not
you.
falling to the Earth, going around the horizon, orbiting.
There is no Starlink.
No, the orbit. You
Yeah,
said,
of course there's no Starlink, but people are using it already around the world.
You
What are you
said-
talking about?
You said satellites
It's
orbit.
a low.
You
Oh,
said-
okay.
You said satellites orbit. So where is the orbiting around the horizon?
I don't know what that means. Orbiting usually means that one object is going around another object in a usually circular or semicircular or elliptical orbit.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean over a horizon?
So are satellites going around the ball?
They must be orbiting something. If the Earth is flat, they still
So
should
can
be
you
orbiting
show me a
something.
satellite going over the horizon? We've seen ships, we've seen boats, we've seen the sun.
You've been shown the
We've
ISS.
seen all
going
kinds of
over the,
objects go over the horizon, but we've never seen a satellite go over the horizon.
Yeah, you've seen
Oh,
the
see,
ISS.
Scott
do it.
just
You've
posted-
been shown.
Who posted Scott? So this is one going over the horizon, Ali, yes?
Yeah, I see it in the app on the iPhone or something.
What's the timestamp, Ali? This is 2 minutes long.
I'm referring to what Scott just posted.
I'm looking at what Scott posted. When does that satellite go over the horizon?
I don't know. I don't care, because when the satellites leave your field of view, they will reappear after 90 minutes or so again, the same satellites.
Yeah, but how do you know they're orbiting rather than just going around a flat plate?
How are they going around in a flat plane? What's going to cause them to actually circle around?
What do you mean? What's going to cause them? They're going to just be powered around. They're going to fly around the plane.
Yeah, and what's going to keep them up in the air? Magic.
No, they're not really in space, are they? That's the point.
Even worse, where are they?
They are
then?
not in space.
Well, they definitely are moving at 17,000 miles an hour.
No, you can't
So they are
show
not in
one
this
satellite
space.
going over the horizon. So he drops it and it goes around the ball. Where is that?
I've seen actually I've seen ISS coming from behind the horizon, going over me and
Not the horizon,
leaving the
not
other
that.
direction.
Stop changing the
around
goalposts. We're talking about satellite. Are they real?
ISS is also a satellite, you know.
Is that what
ISS
gives you
also a
GPS,
satellite.
the ISS?
ISS is a satellite.
Oh, that gives you the GPS, is it?
No, it
What
doesn't.
is GPS? What is GPS?
It's a GPS.
You asked for a
ISS.
satellite. ISS is a satellite. There it is.
There you go. We've got
So-
the GPS, ISS
So you
satellite,
think
and
I
the
need
TV
GPS
satellites
to-
all rolled in one.
You asked for a satellite. You want a satellite. There it is.
Yeah,
There's a satellite going
all
from
the
one horizon
satellites
to the other.
rolled into one.
This is why people get annoyed with you, Chemo, because you've taken what someone said and you've just strawmanned it totally, which at best is a straw man and at worst is just lying.
But I am
You
follow.
didn't say that,
All
you
right.
didn't say that the
I
ISS
follow.
All right, let's move forward.
provided
Ali.
GPS.
All right,
You
let's
didn't
move
say
forward.
that. You added that on, Chemo. Stop
All right, let's
doing
move forward. So, Ali.
No, I think it's quite right.
Ali.
You are wrong.
Hold on, John.
Maybe you have to shut up.
Ali. So,
Yeah, I can hear you.
Doofus said here, I asked you for your GPS satellite. Doofus said the ISS. So is that what we get our signals from?
Don't
No, I
even
didn't
lie
say
about what
that.
other people
I
say.
never
I know
said
you
that.
love to do it regularly, but it's not going to happen.
Well, I'm just
Yeah, I
saying that.
didn't
I'm
say that.
talking to Ali about the GPS satellite. I asked him to show the satellite, and then
didn't
you
say
said
that.
the ISS. So, Ali, is the ISS the GPS satellite you're talking
You
about?
asked for evidence of a satellite going over the horizon.
Yeah, your GPS
You
one,
didn't
dude.
ask for evidence for GPS satellite going over
That's
the
what we're
horizon, so
talking
I
about,
brought up the
GPS.
ISS. What's your problem?
We are talking about GPS satellites. Not
Why
any
do you need to see
satellite.
specifically a GPS satellite?
We're talking about any
Horizon,
satellite. We know the moon is up there. We know the ISS is supposedly up there. We're talking about
Do
the
you really know
GPS.
about what we are talking about?
So, Ali, are there any GPS satellites up there orbiting the ball?
Of course they are.
Okay,
Because
can
you can
show...
actually measure the signals and you can see the frequencies, you can see the Doppler shift, you can identify satellites
Doppler
that
shift.
are orbiting
Doppler
twice
shift is
your
a fucking
rocket.
radar.
So,
Johnny,
Ali,
I'm-
is the GPS coming from the ISS?
There is no
How can
ISS.
GPS come from ISS if you need multiple GPS satellites for triangulation?
There is
There's
no
only one ISS up there. What the fuck are you talking
Well,
about?
that's what your friend said. ISS.
He didn't say that. And I never
Why?
said that.
Why did he mention ISS when
He
we're
was
talking
lying
about
again.
GPS satellites?
Jesus,
You
what
asked
funny.
for evidence of a satellite going from one horizon to the other. The ISS is an excellent example of a satellite doing exactly that
We're
thing.
not talking about the ISS. We're talking about GPS.
We were
Is there
talking
such
about
a
what you're
thing as
talking about, and you were
GPS?
talking about satellites.
And we are
Can you
talking
send me a
about
satellite
boiler
on the horizon? What's the
software. It's
request?
a software and it's a high altitude and it's a
You do know that
high
HAPS
altitude
isn't launched
network
yet, Johnny.
and network stations are on the ground.
You know that HAPS isn't real. It's not actually in production yet. It's not a commercially available thing.
know
It's
that,
at the
we know
research stage at the moment, and there are lots of design problems. I didn't realize you were talking about that because I've actually studied it a bit. But
So,
then again, I've got a few
Doofus.
decades specializing in IT,
Don't
so that's why I know a
say
little
so
bit about
against
it.
me.
For goodness sakes. He just
You-
loves to derail the
If you know
conversation.
about it, you know I am. So why are you saying
Right.
I'm
Because
wrong?
it's not.
Because
it's not in
flat earthers love to
production
talk
yet.
about it.
Right.
Yeah,
That's
it's
what
not
I'm
in
doing. We're losing the
production.
point now.
It's something that
Talking when everyone else is talking. When I'm talking, then he's talking about other things that we're not talking about. Trying to find out about these satellites, and we were told the ISS. Now we know it's not the ISS. So Harley or Doofus, can we see one of those GPS satellites from, like you said, horizon to horizon, like the ISS?
Yes. Yes, we can.
Not with your naked eye, not in the middle of the night, not many things, but they are doing that thing. You can record their positions and track them as they're going overhead with any capable GPS receiver. And also, those receivers can measure things like Doppler shift to give you the speed of the satellites. All kinds of things that you could do.
All right, Doofus, you know.
I have to say, excuse me, it's about local. Everything is local. It's like a router, like it's a small things together. It's a fucking internet, you know. There's also internet in the sky. You have to understand.
You have no idea of scale, mate. No idea of scale.
GPS is not a mesh network anyway.
Right, Doofus, do you know that the satellites are the size of a school bus?
Not all of them are.
But the satellites are the sizes of a school bus and bigger.
No.
No, typically, they're a lot smaller than a school bus.
No, the satellites are the size of a school bus.
Not all of them, Chemo. It's not a one-size-fits-all.
Chemo, there's no satellites. Why are you talking about it?
Because he's saying that you won't see.
Why are you not muting Johnny when he overtalks?
Are you not here when I'm
time?
speaking? Or something? Has he got me turned out?
Oh, so
I
we
can
cannot
hear you. I was
talk
trying to
about
ask you a
Right,
Move,
question.
Johnny,
so
move to-
Doofus, are you saying that we can't see a bus that's lit up in space?
Tell me how big a GPS satellite is purported to be.
That's what we're trying to find out. We don't know anything about these GPS satellites at the moment.
Because you choose not to research them.
So tell us then, how big? What are the size of a car? Size of a television? How big is a GPS satellite?
A car is a better example.
Size of a car. Yeah, okay, so we should be able to see a car. We saw Elon Musk's car. Why can't we see these other cars?
Kimo.
You telling me
GPS
you're going to see a
satellites.
car from 20,000 kilometers away?
We could zoom into that, couldn't we?
22,000
No
kilometers?
way, Jose. You can't.
If it's lit
You
up, can't we zoom into it?
So far away.
At what time of night are you trying to see this thing? And are you using a telescope like you should be doing?
Has anyone ever done this? Seen the satellite go over the size of a car over the horizon? Ever?
They have seen it with geostationary satellites.
Go over the horizon?
Oh.
Yep.
Well, when has that ever happened? Can we see it, please?
When you travel north, Chemo.
One moment.
Satellites. Hmm.
See,
That's
Doofus, we
all
can't prove that
place.
satellites exist. That's what we're saying.
Yeah,
Stop over talking everybody.
So, Ali,
They
let's go
exist
back to your
because
GPS
nobody is
satellites.
listening.
This is something that we cannot
They exist,
demonstrate to be
but
true.
Nothing is moving.
Ali, this is
Yes, we
something
can, Kimo.
This is something we
can.
cannot. Something we cannot demonstrate to be true, Ali. What do we do at this point?
Well,
do
it
you
is
mean we can't
demonstrated to be
demonstrate?
true.
You
No,
can
I mean, this is
demonstrate
so
it.
stupid. Because we demonstrate it, Chemo, through efficacy. We demonstrate it through the fact that the GPS systems are there, that they work out in the middle of the ocean where there are no cell towers, that we see them being launched, that we have a complete supply chain manufacturing those satellites and launch capability to put them up there. And the fact that you want to go, no, I'm going to shut my eyes and say no, doesn't make it factual, Chemo. We've got lots of evidence to support it, and we have
Demonstrate
no
it,
evidence
Andrew.
to shoot it down.
Demonstrate it then.
You're
Let's
lying.
look at what you're talking about.
He is lying.
Interesting, Chemo. Interesting.
Exactly.
How can you lie like
So,
that?
Harley, you can see
I'm not
that
lying, Johnny. And
the
I
idea
appreciate
that a
if you wouldn't make
satellite
accusations
exists.
without evidence, because that just makes you a douche.
I don't know if
I
you just
don't
can hear me
believe
or
you.
not. Right.
I really
Still
don't.
over talking to us. Got a problem here when I'm trying to ask a question, when someone else is trying to answer a question, you feel the need to interrupt. And obviously we can't hear anybody when
sorry.
all these things are happening. So, Ali, back to the GPS.
Yes.
How can we prove that there is a car, a satellite the size of a car, in space?
by observing the signals coming from space. Like I said, the carrier radio signal is a static frequency. When the satellite approaches you, the frequency starts increasing until it starts leaving you. Then the frequency starts dropping below the carrier frequency. I posted the freaking diagram in the chat. You can see it. You can measure it.
Diagram, did you say?
Yeah, the image I posted in the chat.
He was talking about the car in space, and you're talking
about the
about something.
car-sized satellite in space. I want to see that
Yeah, you can
deployed.
measure the Doppler shift of the signal, is what he's talking about.
No. We know that's an aeroplane, Harley. It's just an aeroplane. We're saying
The amount of Doppler shift that has been measured puts it at over 16,000 miles per
all
hour.
your mathematics is wrong. You have no geometry, no numbers, no maths. Yeah? So you can't
Nobody
apply
said
that
that.
to this and say, look, we calculated. You can't even calculate the physical geometric horizon. So all we're looking for is the car-sized satellite that was launched into space, so we can verify that satellites are real, Harley. No one's hand-waving anything. I'm just saying, show us...
And it looks fake. It must be real.
I don't know what you're talking about. In that sense, you can use GPS signals to actually determine that these satellites are orbiting the Earth at such speeds and at such distance.
What the fuck are you talking about?
Whether you see them with your binoculars doesn't really matter.
Harley, try to stay on track, right?
I am on track.
We're saying that the satellites are fake. They are aeroplanes. If you
Aeroplane doesn't go at such velocity.
Listen. I don't know what's up there, right? But if you're saying you pick up a signal, a real-world signal, then that can only be from a real-world aeroplane. If you're saying it's not a real-world aeroplane, it's a satellite.
Airplane.
No real-world airplane or balloon or anything else that you want to propose can go at 17,000 miles an hour.
That's your claim. Show the satellite doing that.
It's claim.
Kimo, this is your claim that
already
there's
done
an
that.
airplane with such velocity and it's constantly circling there without ever landing, without ever refueling. This is absurd.
What, are you in the military? You know the black operations they're doing? No.
This is absurd.
To
You can't
you,
have
yes,
an
they're
airplane
50 to
flying
100
indefinitely up there. Don't
What?
you understand that?
Well, listen to me. In 100 years, will they be able to go
What
this
is
fast?
absurd? The sun is absurd.
In 100 years, will they have technology to go this fast? Of course. Because technology keeps on going very, very quickly. So they are already 100 years ahead of everybody else. So you're not going to see the technology that's 100 years ahead.
Okay, Kimo.
Yes.
Let's forget about GPS. Let's go to Starlink. This is easier because we can see them flying overhead all the time. You can photograph them. You can track them. You can use them for your satellite internet service.
You can
What's the problem there then?
On the app. It's not real. It's not real. So fuck it.
Only if you choose to ignore evidence.
It's not
Show me
real.
one Starlink user that's saying that it's not real.
It has to be natural. You cannot make a map or say it's a proof of something.
Yeah, Johnny, you're talking nonsense right now. That doesn't even make sense what you're saying.
You cannot make
Well, the language
a map
barrier
and
doesn't
say,
help.
Do you really believe you can say a map is your proof? Are something wrong with you?
So, Ali, you want to forget the GPS satellite. What else did you want to bring up?
I moved on to Starlink because this is easier to prove. And there's like hundreds of them. I think it's more than 1,000 satellites already. And the number is growing. And you can track them. You can
Well,
use
hold on.
internet-
How big are these satellites? Size of a bus? Size of a plane? Size of
Jesus,
a truck?
are you actually telling me right now you haven't watched a single Starlink launch right now?
How
are you actually
big
saying
is it?
this?
How big is it? The size of what?
I asked you a question. Haven't
I
you
don't
seen
watch
a single
the.
Starlink
I don't
launch?
really pay attention to all that.
I've seen it on your
Chemo
app.
doesn't do research. Chemo 2021.
I don't look into the NASA, SpaceX, Hollywood studio stuff. Just tell me how big is the satellite? Size of a bus, a car, a truck, a plane, a train? How big is it?
Because, I mean, if I was Chemo and I wanted to argue something, I would just ignore everything that was ever posted about it.
I'm
Sure.
only asking questions. How big is the satellite?
Oh, just like a car? Or,
No, not
or
this
boss?
one. Not this one. Another one that Harley's talking about. Not the GPS one. A different satellite has a different size and different functions. But is it the size of a truck, a bus, an ice cream truck, a fire engine, an ambulance? How big is this satellite?
Look in the chat.
What? How big?
You can see 60 Starlink satellites.
Whoa, that looks
there's
massive.
a human size for comparison.
How big is that?
There's human size for comparison.
That is huge, Arlie.
These are 60 satellites in that fairing. It's not one,
not
it's
big
60
satellite.
stacked
Okay.
on top of each other.
All right. I thought it was one big satellite. Okay, show us these satellites being launched then, Arlie.
Please go to SpaceX YouTube channel.
Oh my gosh. Show them
Yeah,
being
oh my God.
launched.
Not only has that already been presented, but it's been presented many, many
Oh,
times.
that's the SpaceX one, is it?
Oh my God.
Okay.
You know, the number of satellites is growing by
seal
60
the deal,
each time.
Seal the deal, we need to see them, just like Doofus said, horizon to horizon. Let's take a look at that.
Do you think you have to optically eyeball a satellite to actually determine whether it's coming from behind the horizon and leaving behind the horizon? Do you actually think you need to see them with your eyes, or you could just measure the radio signals from them?
Just want evidence that these things exist.
I just posted a video of satellites.
Yeah, they
60 of
exist
them
on
being
Earth,
launched
but
recently.
do they
are in the
exist in
satellite
space.
There is no satellites. It's just HAPS.
Yeah,
John
and
saying
people
it
are
does-
using Starlink. People are using Starlink already. It's working.
Yes.
Look, no one's denying Starlink. This is something wrong with you ballers. We're asking for evidence that it's going around a ball, not a flat plane. These things can work on a flat plane. No big deal. Tesla inventions can have things levitating, flying around the flat plane, no problem. Now, if it's going around a ball, where is the horizon that it's going over?
Oh, they are using Tesla name for it. It's a bad thing.
You're really getting
He-
boring already.
He hates.
Well,
hate them for
again,
it.
why
Use
did you
their
step
name.
to the challenge of thinking you could outsmart a flat earther with, what do you have? You have only earthly things.
Kimo, you've been outsmarted every single minute of every single hour of every single day over here, and you're too stupid to even understand that.
Oh, by
Jesus
producing
Christ.
earthly goods?
Who are
What about
you?
the space goods? Show us something flying around space, as you
Right, but
claimed,
Kimo,
if you're smarter
Kimo,
than
you're
a
not
flat earther.
earther, though.
Oh, Ed, how are you doing?
No, what Kimo is
So,
not a flat earther. He can present nothing for the flat earth. All he does is globe denial, and he's faking it.
Yeah,
I'm a
It's so
biblical
obvious.
earther, that's why. What did it say in the
Uh-huh.
biblical earth? There are four corners. That's what we live on.
Right.
Maybe you're right just a little bit, but take it easy now.
So again,
Just welcome.
it's not that difficult to provide evidence. Are you done? Well, I mean, again, they try. But again, NASA's not giving you anything to support your argument. They've given you
I don't give
animation.
a fuck about NASA.
cuts- Yeah, space. When I say
Yeah, but-
when I say NASA, I mean all of the space agencies. They're all in it together. Every single one of them.
Yeah,
You-
but you still have satellite services working around the world, so what's the point? And you know, they have a saying, no amount of evidence can convince an idiot, and you're the idiot.
But you
Thank
don't have any evidence for me to be
No,
an idiot in the
What's
first
the
say
point
so.
of presenting
You're
the
wrong
evidence
there.
if you're
Don't
not even
say
gonna
it.
accept any of them?
I was
There's
just
no
explaining.
evidence I can provide you that you're gonna accept. No, none, zero,
I was
ničego, nol.
I was just explaining your evidence and how it's not evidence. See?
No,
What
you were
you
explaining how
presented-
you feel about this evidence.
What you
That's not doing anything.
What you
Can you
present-
actually present some arguments, Kimo?
I am. Because what my
No,
argument
you're
is
not.
that
You're telling
what
us
he
how you
presented,
feel about it. That's completely irrelevant. Nobody cares.
my argument is that what he presented was of earthly realms, earthly goods. Everything
Out of space.
everything that he presented only works here in the atmosphere and on the Earth. Rockets,
Why?
satellites
Why
do
does it
not
only work here in the
a
atmosphere and
vacuum.
on Earth?
Goodness sake. But everything that Ali presented today was from an earthly aspect. None of what
Yeah,
he
so
showed.
Kimo, I asked you why. Why does it only work on Earth and in the atmosphere? Why?
Because to go into a vacuum is a second law. Is a violation of thermodynamics, second law.
Kimo, one thing. I actually have something to settle with you.
Okay.
Is there atmospheric pressure gradient or not?
Whoa. Before we get to that, do you concede that you
were
cannot
talking about space, so
demonstrate...
this is quite related to this. Space and pressure gradient.
Oh, okay. So yeah, there's no atmospheric pressure because there is no force to pull the atmosphere down that you can demonstrate in laboratory conditions.
And I can tell you everything about it.
Yeah, but my question was about pressure gradient. Is there atmospheric pressure gradient?
Where
do
does
you
the
know what
pressure come
gradient
from?
is?
There is no pressure there is no
Johnny.
atmospheric pressure gradient because where does the pressure come from?
I asked, is there a pressure gradient? Where
You
does
said
it come from? It's
no.
a secondary question.
No, there is no secondary. No, there is no atmospheric.
Remember, I showed you the video where this
Hey, are you
bag
talking
of,
to
bag
me?
of
Are you talking
chips
to me?
started
Are you talking to me?
expanded until it exploded when the car went higher in the elevation.
John
Remember
thinks
that?
there's atmospheric pressure. You can speak to him if you want.
Are you talking to me?
No, I was asking Kimo because I have something.
No, but he's tired. I haven't taken over.
I promise this is gonna be the last point.
Oh, so you're scared now. You cannot talk any.
I was talking to Kimo, Johnny. Wait,
But Kimo
give
said
me 5 minutes.
I
I
will
will
take over.
finish this
Oh,
discussion.
now you're scared because you know I
I'm
will
not
take
scared. You're
No,
interrupting, Johnny.
No, I'm not
take it
interrupting.
easy. I'm talking to
just
Kimo.
talking. I will take over the conversation.
Yeah, but I had.
I
a
mean,
question for
Johnny,
Kimo.
like, you keep interrupting people, man. Just.
No, it's just a play, okay?
Just leave Kimo like with Harley.
But Kimo said I will take over. That's it. You're just playing the game, okay?
You're not making claims about atmospheric pressure gradient. It was Kimo's claim. So I'm talking to Kimo.
So you're
I'm
afraid
done,
now.
I'm
You
gone
cannot
then.
talk to. You just want to take. You don't want to talk about the topic. You just want to
I can talk about anything.
the.
I can talk about anything with you.
Oh, I'm asking you. So you are afraid to talk about your topic.
I'm not afraid of anything.
It
Stop
looks
imagining.
so for me. Oh, so you're out. You're out. You
Out of
can
what?
talk. You cannot talk with me. You're out.
Out of
out
what?
of the topic. So if you don't want to talk about the topic, you just
What
want
topic?
to talk about the person.
What
What
topic?
the fuck are you talking about? Are you talking to me
Which
or
topic
something
are you
else?
referring to? Which topic?
Are you talking to me or somebody else? No.
Apparently, I'm talking to you because you're not letting anyone else speak. So go.
But I am on, and I'm asking
Yeah.
you, what the
Yeah,
fuck are you
you're on.
talking about? Have you something to say?
Yeah, I got plenty to say.
Okay, start. I'm listening.
Yeah, I was talking about atmospheric pressure gradient, and you started interrupting. So obviously, you had
Yeah.
something to say.
Yeah. Do you know what pressure gradients is? Why?
What do you mean?
Why? Do you know why we have a pressure gradient in
Yeah,
the
I
first
know.
place?
Yeah, I know.
Give me the fucking answer now. No,
Because of-
not later.
Oh my
No.
god.
Why? No, don't! Jävla helvete or
Right,
something.
relax.
Time over. It's because of temperature. So he didn't know. He didn't know about that. He's a fucking failure.
What do you mean by temperature? Explain.
Everything is about temperature.
Yeah.
In atmosphere. Yeah. Have you Google now? Have you Google talk with somebody? Or
How does temperature relate?
I don't have to Google anything. Everything is in my mind. I know everything. I don't have to Google. Like
you're the guy who said the sun is going through a portal. Why should we listen to you?
Oh, so you know who I am. I was not saying in that way. I was talking about in the electronic way. Because
electronic way. What does it mean?
Yeah,
the sun is electronic.
Yes. And everything that's electronic is in one dimension.
I have no idea what it means.
Yeah, because you are fucking stupid. You don't know what I'm talking about. Why I'm talking about?
Nobody knows what you're talking about.
Haven't you considered that maybe you're a shitty explainer?
Oh, maybe I have to teach you everything from the beginning. From Galileo. There's no fucking Galileo. There's lie also. If you don't understand where you are.
Well, start from the beginning. What do we understand? What do we know? What have we proved?
Absolutely nothing. You don't know anything.
Well, that's not a very good basis.
It's the best base to start from beginning. It's a lot of lies and a lot of misinformation. You have to start from beginning.
All right, so when we look up and we see the stars, what are those?
We are not talking about that just now, but if you are asking...
Yeah, I mean, that's the beginning, right? You look up at the sky, you see the stars, you say, what are those?
We wonder what they are.
Power stations of light.
So look, let's get back to the science, Ali. You're saying there's a pressure gradient. Now, obviously, when you invoke pressure, you have to invoke a force. So where is that force coming from?
They're out.
Ali, is he gone? What's happened to Ali? Did he drop?
Sorry, I was muted for a second.
Ah, yeah. Ali is still there. Good. So, like, you're saying there's a pressure gradient, yes?
Yeah, I was asking whether there is a pressure gradient.
How can there be a pressure gradient without a force, Ali?
I don't care. How can it be? The question is whether there is. That's the
without a force,
question.
Ali, no, it's not possible. Without a container,
yeah, but
Ali,
we can demonstrate. But we can demonstrate there is a pressure gradient because when we go higher in elevation, the pressure starts dropping. That's a definition of pressure gradient.
What about lower, Ali? Lower.
It probably starts increasing.
Probably.
This is a logical inference, you know.
Maybe. You don't know.
Yeah, but we're talking about pressure actually dropping when we go higher in elevation because there's a point I'm trying to get to.
So tell me about it then. It drops off, gets thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner, then what?
So do you actually agree right now? There's a pressure gradient.
Yeah, I'll walk with you, Ali. I'll walk with you. So go on. There's more pressure down here. Yeah.
I don't need you to agree with me for the sake of the argument. I want to actually understand whether you believe there's a pressure gradient or not.
Ali, I've just outlined. How can there be a pressure without a force or a container? But I'll go with you. I'll walk with you.
Okay, I'm gonna ask it in the way you ask. How can there be a pressure gradient inside a container? Go.
There's not, Ali. There's not. Gas fills the available space, Ali.
Yeah, and it should be. You should fill it in equally everywhere. There shouldn't be a pressure gradient.
It does fill it equally.
It doesn't. There's a pressure gradient.
Show me, Ali. Show me this gradient.
when you go higher in the elevation, the pressure starts dropping. That's been demonstrated.
That's the hypothesis, Ali.
That's not a hypothesis. This is an observation.
Oh, I said, walk me through it then. You go higher, higher, get thinner and thinner. Then what?
Well, you make the inference from that. At one point, the pressure gets lower and lower and lower and lower, and the further you go, the lower it gets until you're in the space.
How
What's
high?
the
How
problem?
far, Ali? How far? How high?
Well, we have been considering the Kármán line sitting at about 100 kilometers above the Earth.
But is there any gas above that Kármán line?
Yeah.
There is
Tiny
gas.
amounts,
There is
and
gas
the
above the
further you
Kármán
go,
line.
the less it becomes. The further you go, the less it becomes.
No, but Ali, you're saying there is gas from the Earth above the Kármán line.
Yeah, tiny amounts.
Tiny amounts.
Molecules.
So how far before we draw another line where... Yeah, let's keep going. I want to draw another line.
Do you understand the Kármán line isn't actually a line?
No, but
it's
just
not
listen.
a cutoff point.
I
It's just an
understand you.
arbitrary
We're gonna
position.
draw-
we have
We're going to draw a line at the Kármán line. And I asked
Yeah,
you,
it's
is
an
there more
arbitrary.
gas above that? You said yes. So now I
Yes.
want to draw the chemo line. So how far do I have to go up?
Chemo.
Hey, percent, what's going on?
Yo, what's up? Keep going.
What's happening?
Yeah, you can define your chemo line, but you have to then set the parameters for that chemo line.
No, I want my line to have no gas above that line.
Well, as far as I know, some molecules from our atmosphere are even at the distance where the moon is. So
keep going.
Even
Yeah,
the moon
take my
is
chemo line.
slightly
Okay, that's
inside
fine.
Earth.
That's fine. How far do I take my chemo line? Beyond the moon? How far?
You haven't defined the cutoff.
Until there's no Earth gas above the chemo line. How far?
I can't set the chemo line if you haven't defined the parameters.
I've just told you the parameters. There should be no Earth gas above the chemo line.
I have no idea how far Earth's atmosphere extends into space.
What does your
I don't
model
know
say,
from
Ali?
the
Look
top
at the
of my
model.
head, and it doesn't even matter.
Look at the model. Just go boop, 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 boop. Model, where does the gas stop? We want to put in a chemo line.
I don't give a fuck about the model.
Yeah, why does it matter, actually?
What, can't you look at the model and tell you the answer?
Chemo.
I thought you could
Is
make
there
predictions.
atmospheric pressure gradient?
Ali, you've just said I can't even draw the chemo line. So how do we know
You
where the
haven't
pressure
defined
stops?
the chemo line. You have to define the chemo line, saying that yes, this is chemo line. At that line, there should be zero.
No gas
molecules.
above the chemo line, yes?
Yeah, but there's no such place in the universe that when there's nothing, there's always something.
Ah, there's gas everywhere.
Yeah, interstellar space has some fucking gas.
That's good then. So now we've sorted that out. There is no gas pressure next to a vacuum. The model's
No, there's no
changed.
chemo
gas
line.
is everywhere.
There's no chemo line. There's no chemo line.
No chemo line, no need because gas is everywhere, right?
Yeah, but the problem is the higher you go in elevation, the less it becomes. So
But
please explain me how
still-
inside a pressure container then there can be a pressure gradient.
Well, I hear what
How?
you're
Is there
saying.
ever a perfect vacuum?
Go on, percent. Welcome.
So-
Ali, this is percent Ali. Let's meet each other.
So the chemo line would be where there's zero pressure, right? Above, you'd have zero
above
gas.
the chemo line percent, there is no Earth gas.
It'd
Yeah.
be a perfect vacuum above the chemo line, right?
That's what I'm asking Ali for. Where do I put the chemo line?
All right, great. There's no perfect vacuum anywhere in the universe.
So I
Cool.
can't put the
There's
chemo
always
line-
going to be.
How do you have
cool.
pressure gradient?
So how do you have
Hold
the
up, 1
relative?
second. How do you have a pressure gradient infinitely approaching zero, right? Or whatever you guys say. It's going to keep on getting less and less and less when there is no zero. How do you have a
relative
gradient with like
measurement?
a spectrum without that end of the spectrum?
Hey, percent. How do you have a relative measurement? What is 10% of something? What's 50% of something? What's something compared to something else?